Hey everyone, and welcome to our Q&A presented by Just Love. My name is Paula Jane, and I'm talking to Judy Carroll. Judy is an internationally known author. Her books include The Zeta Message, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History, and her two most recent books, both Kindle editions and both also available in German, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET, and Cosmic Spirituality, Blending Religion and Science in Oneness from an Off-Planet Perspective. Hi Judy.
Hi Paula, hi everyone.
So in recent episodes, we've been discussing Judy's latest book, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET. And interestingly, one of our mainstream news channels here in Australia recently aired a documentary on what happened at Roswell. One of the things that was discussed is how bodies of the ETs that crashed are still being held there. So Judy, first of all, what did you think of the documentary, and do you think that there are bodies of the ETs still there? What are your comments on this?
I thought it was a very good documentary. The scientists who spoke, Professor Garry Nolan and Professor Michio Kaku, are both highly regarded in their fields, and Ross Coulthard did a good job of presentation. One of the scientists had experienced ET contact and was happy to talk about it openly and honestly, and as the other scientists pointed out, there are literally trillions of galaxies composed of suns and planets in the universe, so how could Earth possibly be the only one supporting human life?
Yes, trillions of galaxies composed of suns and planets. But humanity has been programmed to trust the authorities, the corporations and the government. But we are moving into a higher consciousness now, a new energy, and people are seeing things clearer. The truth is coming out slowly but surely, thus the program on mainstream television. I think I recall how you've said in the past that humanity can't be told everything at once because it would be too much for them to take in. It would be way too much for them to wrap their heads around, with all of the misinformation and disinformation and the level of control that we've been experiencing since the beginning of time.
Yes, Paula, for sure. So much brainwashing and disinformation has been put out for so long. My goodness, it was only a couple of 100 years ago when people, mainly women, given the overly patriarchal control of religion down here, were put to death simply for having perfectly natural abilities such as healing and psychic sensing. And as for anyone who dared to claim that Earth was not the centre of the universe and that the sun does not revolve around us, again, torture and a death sentence by the Holy Church. Since the late 1940s and early 1950s, there's been a very carefully planned and structured program put in place by the military and government on the denial of anything to do with UFOs and ETs. I'm currently rereading a book entitled Witness to Roswell, written by Thomas J. Carey and Donald R. Schmitt, and published back in 2009. This book has reminded me of just how deep and how vicious this repression has been. Given the vast amount of lying and negative propaganda still being put out through books and online about ET contact, there's still no way the ETs, and most especially the Greys, who are the main ones carrying out this work involved with the planetary shift, could just come here and land on the White House lawn, as some people demand.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the other question, are there bodies of ETs still being held down here?
I'm sure there are. The military wouldn't give those up without a fight. However, the souls who inhabited those bodies wouldn't be overly concerned, as the Greys understand that our physical bodies are just containers for the real us, the soul who inhabits the body for the span of a lifetime. The amount of research and interviews that Carey and Schmitt carried out for the Witness to Roswell book is amazing, and the cover-up that occurred in connection with the crash is undeniable. Claims made by the military that it was a weather balloon is beyond ridiculous, Project Mogul included, as was claimed by the Air Force in 1994. Even as late as the year 2000 and beyond, witnesses were still terrified to speak out, even to close family members. As the authors explain, the use of terminal force was authorised in connection with such highly top-secret issues, and the Roswell event was the highest of the high. In other words, anybody involved would be shot dead on the spot by armed guards if they were in the wrong place at the wrong time or couldn't keep their mouths shut. Family members, including children, were also threatened.
Wow, just more control.
Absolutely, just beyond words. People who haven't read up on this wouldn't have a clue about the pressure and bullying that witnesses were subjected to. As is pointed out in the book, the top secret classification to do with weather balloons and Project Mogul were dropped years ago. But threats to do with Roswell, and particularly for those who saw the bodies, it's never ceased.
Yeah. So do you think that Al, the E.T. character from Lawrence Spencer's Alien Interview book, knew that everything playing out back then at Roswell was part of a plan to assist us here on Earth? You've spoken in the past about how the Roswell crash enabled humanity to even out the playing field with regards to World War II. Do you think that Al was aware of this at the time of the crash, that the ship that she was in was going to provide technology to assist us here on Earth?
On a higher level of their consciousness, Elle and the rest of the crew would have known for sure. Some actually left their bodies just prior to the crash. Everyone in the whole universe makes a pre-birth choice on their time and manner of passing, and the Roswell crew was no exception. It was all very carefully planned. At the same time, it was still highly traumatic for them on the lower consciousness level. Earth is known far and wide as one of the most dangerous planets in the universe, so it took a lot of guts on their part to come here, especially for the one who elected to survive.
Yeah, you can say that again. I recall Al saying that planet Earth is about the closest place to hell in the whole universe. Maybe that's why it's such a beautiful planet, nature-wise, to make up for all of the other difficulties we face in living a life down here.
That's for sure. But also being aware that ultimately we create our own reality, so just doing your best to stay positive is important. And also being aware that we have chosen our experiences from a higher level of our being, and every experience is a learning experience.
So, Judy, you point out that on a higher level of their consciousness, Al and the rest of the crew would have known for sure. Everyone in the whole universe makes a pre-birth choice on their time and manner of passing, and the Roswell crew are no exception. How do you think free will is being played out here with the Roswell crew? Because they are of a higher consciousness. Did they just trust that all would be well?
Yes, the Zetas are very aware consciously that they are not their body, or container as they call it. That is all the physical body is to them, a container for the soul. Their real self is just chosen to experience physicality. They chose through free will to take part in the mission to A, make higher technology available down here, and B, to enable Earth humans to see with their own eyes that there are other sentient human-type beings out there. They figured that by just leaving their empty containers down here along with the crashed ship, it would be a less traumatic and confrontational way for Earth humans to obtain physical evidence of their presence and reality. However, the authorities down here also had a free will choice to be open and honest about the crash or to be covert and secretive and cover up the whole thing. And they chose the latter, denial. This is why the Zetas and other Greys then had to change their tactics and start making contact with people on a more individual basis, especially aimed at those people who, prior to birth, had agreed to be part of the process of opening the collective consciousness to humanity to the next level of evolution.
So even here on Earth, with all the laws, the dictatorships, oppression and fear-mongering, we still do have free will. This is the outer level, and one must obey laws, even if they are laws that we don't necessarily agree with. But this is not the level of free will that applies to our spiritual evolution. This is something that you highlight in the book. You go on to say that no matter how rigid a government, society, or dictatorship of any given country, culture, or religion, only you can know what goes on in your own heart and mind. Nobody else needs to know, only you. It is at this inner heart-mind level that true free will is exercised, and where brainwashing and mind control can either be accepted or not. This is where your true empowerment lies, to make the choice between love or fear within your own heart.
Yes, and love is expressed through kindness, compassion, non-judgment, respect and acceptance of all races, cultures and religions and belief systems. Fear is expressed through racism and religious intolerance and bigotry, self-righteousness, egotistical behaviour and being judgmental of others. And this unconditional love needs to be felt within, no matter how much fear-mongering and divisiveness is promoted by the authorities of any given country. Your spiritual test is to be able to see through the fear expressed through such controller authorities.
And underneath it all, there is love. There's this beautiful little children's book called The Little Soul in the Sun by Neale Donald Walsch. It's a parable which first appeared in a slightly different form in Conversations with God, Book 1. It's a simple and powerful story that brings children a very profound truth. It's most definitely for adults as well. This profound truth is that there is not absolute good or bad, that underneath all that happens in the world, all we call good and all that we call bad is love.
Yes, absolutely, because on a higher level of our being, we are all souls, and therefore expressions of God's source energy, which is pure, unconditional love. The only difference between what we perceive as good or bad, positive or negative, is how this energy is resonating, in balance or not in balance. When soul energy gets out of balance, it expresses as fear. When it's resonating in a balanced state, it expresses as love.
That's beautiful. So Judy's books are available from Amazon, or you can go through Judy's website. The first book in the Zeta series is
Human by Day, Zeta by Night, followed by the Zeta Message, then Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History, and my two most recent books, both Kindle editions and both also available in German, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET, and Cosmic Spirituality, Blending Religion and Science in Oneness from an Off-Planet Perspective.
Thanks, Jude. And thanks, everyone, for listening. If you like this video, please share with your family and friends and subscribe to this channel. Sending you all so much love, and bye for now.